What's happening, YouTube? Back in a Day Gamer here. Thanks for tuning into my channel, and today I'm coming at you with another top 3 collaboration video. Some friends and I are having so much fun doing these, we decided to turn it into a little series. This video is entitled Top 3 Badass NES Bosses. There's a lot of Nintendo games, and a lot of them are NES tough. Part of that is because of some of these bosses, so we picked 3 that we think are pretty good. I decided to go ahead and put it in the order of, if these enemies were real, who would be the toughest. So all 3 of these bosses are really tough. I'm not saying somebody picked a better choice than others, but I just, at the last minute, decided if these 3 enemies were real, who would actually be the toughest. So the number 3 toughest NES boss is brought to us by Captain Algebra.
Hey everybody, Captain Algebra here, and I'm here with my most badass NES boss. So thank you Back in the Day Gamer for asking me to be a part of this. Couldn't wait for this. Now the NES has had some great games, had some great bosses, so it was very tough to choose. But Back in the Day Gamer and Do You Nerd picked theirs before me, so it helped narrow down the choices a little bit. So the badass boss that I went with was Jason from Friday the 13th.
Laugh all you want at Jason's purple jumpsuit, he is still no laughing matter. He could be wearing a pink dress and hat, and he'd still be a badass. Jason fights you in 2 ways. In the cabins when he attacks other counselors or the children, or you can meet him on the road. Both ways have their advantages and disadvantages. On the road, you're going to take a lot of hits, but at the same time, you're going to do a ton of damage to him quickly. In the cabins, you can dodge much easier, but you're not going to deal as much damage, and so it's going to take much longer to beat him. Jason is such a badass, it takes 3 days to finally take him down. On day 1, Jason moves pretty slowly and is easy to dodge his attacks. But once day 2 hits, Jason means business. Every once in a while, he will go into turbo mode and move and punch faster. You need to be almost perfect with your dodges in order to survive. Then, on day 3, he is always in turbo mode. If you don't dodge at the right time, there's no way you'll get a hit on him. With his sheer tenacity and refusal to go down, there is no doubt Jason is one of the most badass bosses on the NES.
So there you go. Thanks again Back in the Day Gamer for asking me to be part of this. Always fun to do some Top 3 Tuesdays. Until next time, this is Captain Algebra, signing off.
So I think Jason was a real good choice, Captain. He's pretty tough enemy, not to mention you have to fight him 3 different times before you actually beat him. So it makes it pretty appropriate for this video. But I think my boss, coming in at the number 2 spot, if they were real, would kick his ass. And my choice is the actual baddest man on the planet in the late 80s, early 90s. We're talking about Kid Dynamite himself, Iron Mike Tyson. So not only is Mike Tyson a badass in this video game, but in real life, he was literally the baddest man on the planet for several years. And even though he is pushing on in age, I wager he is still quite the badass. A lot of times it's tough to get to an enemy in the game and the enemy doesn't end up being so tough. This is not the case. I can breeze through this entire game. After 30 years of playing it, I'll get to Mike Tyson and he will still beat my ass. You got the whole 1 minute and 30 seconds of one punch knockouts. Not to mention, it's not even an actual 90-second span of time. The clock ticks so fast, it's more like half that. But that being said, it's difficult to even get through that first 1.5 minutes of the first round. Those punches are so lightning fast, you have to be perfect in all your dodges, because if you're not, you get hit by one, down you go. So if you're even fortunate enough to make it through that first 1.5 minutes, the difficulty definitely slopes downward and it becomes much easier, but it is still no walk in the park. It's a pattern-based game. Each enemy has their own pattern, and if you learn it, the game then becomes much easier. But even if you know it, it is still no walk in the park to try and defeat Iron Mike Tyson. No, sir. He is 100% badass 100% of the time. Now, I can't recall if I honestly have ever even beaten him. I'm sure back in the day when I had endless time to devote to playing video games, I probably made it through a decision, because after all, it's far more difficult to make it through the entire fight than it is to get the 5,000 points needed for the decision. I don't have any gameplay for it here because, like I said, I honestly don't think that I've ever beat Kid Dynamite himself. After all these years, it's still my favorite game. I play it all the time, but Iron Mike is still too much of a badass boss for back in the day gamer to defeat him. So moving on to our number one badass NES boss, we're going to give the floor to Tom and Lacey from Do You Nerd.
Hey, nerdlings.
What up, nerdlings?
All right, so you want to talk top NES badass bosses? Now, I guess you didn't really have a choice for this one.
I did not have a choice for this one, but that's okay, because I don't really have a badass boss, because I usually never make it to the bosses.
Well, those NES games can be tough, even before you get to the boss.
Yeah.
But once you do, let me tell you something. You don't get much more badass than the frickin' Dragon Lord.
Ooh, I love dragons!
So first of all, you spend so much time going through this game. You're trying to level up. You're grinding your way there. You're selecting stairs every time you have to go up and down the stairs because he doesn't know there's stairs there.
That's like your boss villain is the stairs.
So get this, you get to this guy, he looks like kind of this warlock dude. You're fighting him and everything. And then, all of a sudden, you think you've beat him.
Then what happens?
Boom. Second form. And then he's just this big, massive dragon.
Ooh, I love dragons!
And this was 1986, so he may have been one of the first bosses to have multiple forms. And, on top of all of that, this guy, this Dragon Lord, has the audacity, when you first come and meet him, to ask you if you want to just join him.
What happens if you say yes?
He murders you.
Well, that's not very nice. Just dead. Doesn't even, let you join him? He's just...
No. It's not like he asks you, you say yes, and then he tries to kill you, and then you guys fight. Nope. Orange status bars. Boom. Thou art dead.
Well, thou art stupid.
So,
that's not nice at all.
That's a badass NES boss if I ever saw one.
Did you choose
Two
it?
forms, or kill you if you try to join up.
Did you choose it just to see what would happen, or
Of
did
course.
you want to actually join him?
To see what would happen.
Did you beat him the first time, and then choose it later?
I did, actually.
Okay,
Good question,
good.
because I did. Alright, guys. Well, that does it for us. See you next time.
Later, nerdlings.
Great choice on the Dragon Lord, you guys. Couldn't said it better myself. You hit the nail on the head. He is a badass boss. So to recap, if all these enemies were real, Jason Voorhees would get his ass kicked by Mike Tyson, who would in turn get his ass kicked by the Dragon Lord. So that is our list of top 3 badass NES bosses. Like I said, we're turning this into a little series, so next month the reins are going over to Tom and Lacey at Do You Nerd for the subject they picked. They'll be hosting the video, so be sure to keep an eye out for that one. Thanks for tuning in to my channel. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. And until next time, YouTube, keep it retro!